Welcome to the Law Practice Sale video series. I'm your host, Robert Schaller. This video discusses how a prospective buyer can peruse the law practices for sale on this website, free of charge. The buyer should note that the buyer does not need to register with the website and does not need to log into the website. So how would a buyer do it? There are a variety of ways to find law practices for sale, and let's look at the home page to begin. First, you can see these search bars that are in here. The first field says, what are you looking for? The second field says location of the law practice. And third, all the categories. But before we do that, let's explore more about the home page. Scrolling down, you can see that there are law practices, various practices that could be for sale. Just click on any one of these and you will be directed to law practices that are listed for sale in that category. Scrolling down further, this is where you see the latest listings. These are the newest listings that have just come on the market. So you can see over here, this would be a listing for estate planning. This one is for real estate. This one's for family law. Just moving down some more. This is for tax, litigation, general practice, bankruptcy, probate, and DUI. Okay, so let's scroll back up to the top. Oh, by the way, one last thing. In the main menu, it is categories. Here are all the different categories for different practices. Those categories, by the way, match the law practice categories down here. So let's scroll up and let's now use the search bars. The first says, what are you looking for? So let's just assume the buyer is looking for an estate planning practice. So let's start typing in estate planning. Go over to the search button, click search. The system now finds all of the estate planning listings. Okay? And here are several. It says 4 results. So I'll quickly scroll down. Here are the 4 different results. Okay? So that is estate planning is listed somewhere in the law firm listing. So it could be the title of it, it could be in the substance, a description of it, or it could be the category of it. It all depends on how the seller has identified estate planning. So in the first one, for example, it has estate planning. Estate planning is the actual category. So the second one, probate and estate planning, would be that the estate planning is the secondary category of practice within that firm. The third one, real estate, could either be as part of the third category that is identified as a practice area, or could just be part of the general description. As you can see, it says here, this law practice has a diversified base of real estate, estate planning law, and elder law. So that's part of the description. Okay? And then finally, the fourth one, a general practice. The general practice also would have the identity of the estate planning within the description of the firm. Okay, so that goes back to how do I find an estate planning firm utilizing the search bar? So let's go back to the home page. Suppose instead of searching for a specific category, we're looking for instead of a location. So let's type in, say, Chicago. Okay, and then click the search button. And this will bring up listings for law practices for sale within that city. So here there's 2 of them, litigation and business law. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. And let's use the third search category. These are all categories. So you use the pull down menu and you search for the area that you're looking for. So let's just say you want family law, click on that, click on search, and up will come any family law listings. And here they are, family law. Now that you have found a listing, what does the buyer do with it? The buyer then can click on the listing here on the link here, it says family law, or on the actual picture itself, either one. And when you do that, the buyer is taken to the actual law practice listing page that was created and uploaded by the seller. So let's explore this. Here you have the title, Family Law, Women Exit Troubling Relationships, demo only. We have the selling price, $85,000. Or at least the asking price. Then we have any picture they might have. Here it says the exact office location is confidential, but we know it's in Downers Grove, Illinois. Here, if the buyer wants to post an ad to a social media, he could do that. Next, over here on the left, it says law firm information. And here are a variety of fields. Over on the left are the fields, and on the right are the seller's responses to those fields. So for example, for this family law, the city is Downers Grove, Illinois. The state is Illinois. It has a zip code. The primary practice area is family law. The secondary practice area is real estate law. There's no tertiary practice area. The geographical practice area is DuPage County, Illinois. The percentage of legal practice involved in litigation, 51 to 75%. The number of clients in the client base between 251 and 500. The next is number of clients who've been clients for 5 years or more, 251 to 500. The next category, number of clients served in the last 12 months, between 1 and 25. The average gross revenue per client during the last 12 months is more than $10,000 per client. The next one, accounts receivable balance, that's between $10,000 and $50,000. The next item, total gross revenues in the most recent calendar year, that's $50,000 to $150,000. Let's scroll down a little bit. The next one is total gross revenues in the second most recent calendar year, and this seller has marked that confidential. Similarly, for the third most recent calendar year, they marked it confidential. Scroll down. Then they have the firm structure. The seller is an LLC. And then the number of lawyers in the law firm with an ownership interest. There's one. And the ownership interest being sold, it's 100% of a solo practice. And what is the seller's willingness to help the buyer during transition period after the sale? And this seller says, with compensation, the seller will help with client transition to a new law firm. And the next one says seller's willingness to train the buyer to learn the substantive area of law. And this seller says with compensation, the training can be provided. Next, the field says, why would a buyer be interested in a seller's legal practice? And the answer here, the seller says, because helping women in time of need lifts her heart. The next one is the description of the law practice. And this seller has been very short with the description. Many other sellers would have a longer description. But this seller says the firm concentrates in family law and focuses on defending women in divorce. A special emphasis is placed on child custody and support. Now, what happens if the buyer is interested in talking more with the seller? We'll go over here to the right, and this is what's called the Confidential Seller Communication Portal. In the Communication Portal, the buyer has the ability to reach out to the seller. The buyer doesn't know who the seller is because it simply is listed here as admin or whatever username the seller has used. And notice below it says the seller may wish to advertise anonymously. Prospective buyers can email the seller directly for more information by clicking the Contact Owner button below. An email is sent directly to the seller. The website does not keep copies or receive a copy of any emails. That email would be straight from the prospective buyer to the seller. So let's click on Contact Owner. And you can see an email screen has come up. This is where the buyer would put in the name and then would put in the email address of the buyer and any message that the buyer wants to send to the seller. And then after doing that, the buyer would click Send Inquiry. And this email would be sent directly to the seller. And the seller could choose to either ignore the email or respond to the email, and that would be up to the seller. The buyer must be aware of the warning that is listed at the bottom of each law practice listing. So check this out. Starting here and reading it, and I'll read it in the video. LawPracticeSale.com is a classified ad platform. All law practice listings on LawPracticeSale.com are advertisements, drafted, created, and directly uploaded to LawPracticeSale.com by sellers without the assistance of LawPracticeSale.com, and should be interpreted as advertisements only. Sellers are solely responsible for the information they present in their law practice listings. LawPracticeSale.com does not review, monitor, investigate, verify, represent, or warrant the accuracy of the information contained in any law practice listing on LawPracticeSale.com. Buyers are solely responsible for assessing the accuracy of all information and must perform their own due diligence before buying. Buyers are also solely responsible for assessing the quality, integrity, suitability, and trustworthiness of all sellers with whom they communicate regarding any listings. No factual representations are made, and no legal advice is given by the owners of lawpracticesale.com. The use of this website does not create an attorney-client relationship or any fiduciary relationship. This concludes this video on how prospective buyers can peruse this website to find law practices for sale. Thank you for watching this video. Please enjoy the other videos in the Law Practice Sale video series. Please contact us with suggestions and ideas using the contact form on the Contact Us page. Thank you again.